Okay, everybody, what's up? My name is Dolce Jeans, and today I'm going to be giving you my guide on where to find fashion inspiration and how to apply it. And this could be if you're a consumer, a regular person just trying to get more into fashion, or if you're also a designer wanting to learn how to develop collections and stuff. This list is going to include different genres of art and how they go hand in hand with fashion, along with real life references and stuff. And I saved the best one for last, so stick around for that one, please. And every single reference I'm going to use in this is 100% factual, so you don't have to worry about that. I did my research and stuff. Trust me. Before we start, please like and subscribe. It helps me out. It's free. It's painless, and yeah, it's just encouraging. I mean, I'm gonna still make these videos anyway because I'm not even getting that many views right now. Anyway, I'm still gonna make them, but it's helps out with morale or whatever. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, the first place you can really get fashion inspo from is, of course, real life around you. Like the trees I'm looking at right now, going outside, seeing certain people wear their clothes a certain way and be like, oh, I really like that. Or even at work, the way how your coworkers may wear their uniform or something. Like I know personally, like the maintenance guys, they're like workwear attire because they have to wear like certain attire they maintenance. I like the way how their jumpsuits look and that. Like I get inspired by that. Or like some of the older guys, how they wear baggier pants. Like some of them were like snowboarding pants for like insulation and stuff in the wintertime, and I really like them and I almost bought one time. Or like how their pants sit on their steel boots and stuff like that. I get inspiration from people all around me in real life as well. You can, if you look at the people in your family, your siblings, your best friends, even kids, bro. Like it doesn't even have to be a person. It can be like the color scheme of a building or a car, the nature around you. Of course, you have to tap into nature every once in a while. The city lights at night, the highway at night, just walking around the city at night. The way how the place looks after it rains, your environment where you grew up, your culture, stuff like that, like family traditions, stuff like that. This one was like really obvious, so that's why I put it first. It can ultimately lead to you like trying new things, seeing somebody else do it and be like, not necessarily like, I want to do that, but oh, I can tell this person is really true to themselves. I want to know how to do that myself with like my own style. You can ask these people, go up to them, be like, what's your thought process behind this? You don't have to copy exactly how they look. That's not the goal. It's the thought process and the authenticity and the rawness of life, because these people and these things are real life. If you need help finding yourself, maybe you can take reference from those things. Now on the runway, there's designers like Ralph Simmons. In 2001 he made the Riot collection. He was inspired because he took a break from fashion in 2000 to do a few things outside of fashion because it was a lot, and one of the things he was doing was teaching fashion at this design school in Vienna. And there were kids from Vienna and Ukraine and stuff at the flea markets, and they were cold, so they were bundling on as many layers as possible to protect themselves from the cold. The way how it looked is how he was inspired, and that's why the runway ended up looking the way how it was looking. It was largely inspired by those kids at the flea markets, and that was, of course, real life. Another example is Eddie Saman's Saint Laurent show in 2016, summer 16, Surf Sound, a tribute to contemporary Californian surf music culture. And he left Dior in 2008 and took 5 years off of fashion to live in California and tap into the California underground, like the new underground that was going on. So if anybody was inspired by real life, it was him. And the looks on the runway show it. Like they look so California. Like so many of those looks look so authentically Cali. And some of the artists he was tapped into, like The Garden, I love The Garden personally. He literally cast them on the runway 3 times, and this was one of the shows that he did that for. So that's as real as it gets, pretty much. Other examples of this are like the latest Rick Owens Porterville shows, because he was talking about how this is the grossest times we've ever seen in human history. That's why he ended up playing with the figures, and we all know what's going on in the world. Some horrible stuff going on in the East. Comme des Garçons was very similar. Ray Kawakubo was frustrated with her lack of being able to do anything. So you see models walking on the runway, tearing up their fabric and stomping, and that's real inspiration that they got, right? Another point of inspiration is movies, right? Movies, cartoons, it's just visual media in general. Now fashion and visuals go hand in hand. Of course, we bear witness to the clothes, but a lot of designers actually get inspired by movies, and a lot of movies get referenced more than once, like Taxi Driver was referenced by Junior Watanabe for the fall winter 2006 collection. Most of the looks were direct replicas of how the main character in the show looked with the mohawk and the army type clothes and all of that. Alexander McQueen was also heavily influenced by Taxi Driver to make his own collection titled Taxi Driver, and it resonated with him because his dad was actually a cab driver. But yeah, those are just some examples of how designers got like inspiration from movies. Jun Takahashi of Undercover is another huge movie fan. He does a lot of collections based off of like movies and cartoons. His Fall Winter 21 collection had a collab with Neon Genesis Evangelion. A Clockwork Orange inspired Fall Winter 2019. Fall Winter 2018, that famous show with him and Takahiro Miyashita, was inspired by 2001 A Space Odyssey. And that's just like a few references. So many, pretty much every single big designer you can think of has been inspired by a movie at some point. So no stranger to that. In terms of cartoons, there's designer brands like 2047, 1120. They have like Hyoma as their main mascot. They weren't necessarily heavily inspired by cartoons, but they push like this cartoon like figure to the forefront in order to like connect to the youth and stuff. And Walter van Berendonk, of course, has like his own mascot, Puck Puck, I believe. It's like a whole cartoon character, and it kind of sometimes bears his message on some of the clothes, which is super cool. And his work in general is just very like cartoony, not to undermine the seriousness, because he talks about serious stuff in his work sometimes, well, a lot of the times. Now, if you're just trying to dress like a movie character, then it's not necessarily like, of course you can't like buy the same clothes, because sometimes there are movies where the wardrobes are created specifically for these characters and these clothes aren't even for sale. But somebody like Roderick from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, those movies, his style is like, teenage, grungy, punk or whatever, with the mascara on the eyes and stuff. You can look for clothes that are similar to that with similar motifs, like, skulls on it and blacked out or whatever, or like, flannels and stuff like that. A skate movie in the mid 90s, if you're like into skate style and you want to like just like the kids from the mid 90s, I guess you could take like inspo from there. But it's more of like looking at the themes in the movies, the themes that the characters are under, how the characters act, why they wear what they wear, elements of their wardrobe. Like it could be like they always wear these type of shoes or these type of pants. If you get inspired by that and you resonate with it, then it could be a guideline for how you want to dress if you feel like, oh my god, he's just like me or something. Okay, we are moving on to music 2024. Now, this one is actually really difficult, so please bear with me. I'm gonna try my best. It's very hard to like extract music into dressing in a way. So, honestly, at this point, a lot of it kind of is laid out for you if you don't want to think too hard about it. Like, if you're like a punk fan, there are obviously the motifs like studs, spikes, black and red, leather, crazy hairstyles, leather boots and stuff, the biker jackets, skinny jeans, crazy jewelry, ear gauges or gouges or whatever, torn up clothing, stained, bleached clothing. Like, this is what I mean when I say a lot of it is already there for you because so many people have, walked that path. So there's a lot of inspo in that sense. Rap, it could be like the old school rap with the jerseys and the big jeans and the t-shirts wrapped around the head, or like the new school like underground rap with the archive Vetmont and Helmet Lang and Rick and this and that. Because that's what they even rap about in the songs. Like it's very direct too. Tyler the Creator fans just like that. Opium, blacked out, blah blah blah. You get the idea, right? Like a lot of it is laid out. But if you don't want to follow like genre, and if you want to just like a specific song or a specific album or even a specific band, that's where it gets kind of muddy. Because if you were to like close your eyes and listen to Hear Knows When by My Bloody Valentine, it's like, how could you dress like that? That's where it gets difficult when you try and do like really abstract ones. To me, it's like you have to listen to a song and try and extract themes from it. Like, does it sound hopeful? Does it sound like a conclusion, like a happy ending? Does it sound something like looking into the future? Does it sound muddy, unsure? If it sounds like these things, then maybe you can wear like, lighter tones for the hopeful parts of it, or like, the future, when it's like, oh, the future is bright. It could be bright clothes. It could be transparent clothes, Or I personally have a song I really like to think about as if like, how would I dress like this song? It's Musette and Drums by Cocktail Twins. It's dark, gritty. The guitar in it is amazing. And it's like, whenever I hear it, I always think of like certain brands and like certain collections and like how, oh my god, this song would be great on this runway or in these clothes. Bear with me, I know I'm talking a lot, but bear with me. Like I think about Andy Millimeter fall into 2009, 2010, 2011, like Alice AUAA, Julius, and like darker brands like that, right? But when I hear like a song like Awkward by Tyler the Creator, it's like dreamy, like a young love story, kind of innocent for the most part. And even the hook, how they're talking about, kissing and stuff, it just seems innocent. So I imagine like, a cutesy like white or pink hoodie with like a cute beanie on or something, like baggy clothes and skater shoes. Because a lot of these songs, it's the easiest way to dress like a song or album if like the artist dressed like that in that era. Like how artists dress like certain ways for the eras of their music. At some point, unfortunately, it kind of can get to just dressing like the artist in general. But we all know how Tyler used to dress back then. So if I was to try and dress like She by Tyler the Creator or something, I could just put on a colorful hoodie, like brown pants or white pants or something, and Vans, and call it a day. But it's like if you want to do something that's really unique, that's where it gets difficult. But you just have to like feel it and like close your eyes or think of the colors when you hear it and stuff. Think about if the song feels honest or raw. You can wear like transparent clothes again, or like ripped up clothes, or if the song is like hardcore, you can wear like hardcore looking stuff. But this one is difficult. Some songs it feels impossible. It takes a while to do. I personally wanted to dress more like the 454 album Fast Tracks 2. I don't know if it was 2 or 3, but even the cover art can help for sure because it just looked like cartoony. I imagine wearing like Walter Van Beirendonck to that album. You can get super colorful. I started getting more colorful in my wardrobe because of the album, straight up. Overall, it's very difficult, but it's not impossible. It's crazy because I had so much source material for music, but I literally had to cut it short because I didn't want y'all to like click off the video and leave. Another place you can get inspo from is religion. Now with Christianity, you know how priests and nuns dressing like the black and white, mainly black with like the white pieces on the clothing and stuff. Or sometimes it would be like, long white cloaks and gowns with like these ornate jewelry and the rosaries and the stuff and a weird hat sometimes or something like that. You can do that too. It's mainly because I'm pretty sure in Christianity like light is like the good stuff. Don't pay attention to what Kanye is doing. I don't know nothing about that. If you actually look at like a lot of Demna's Balenciaga shows, after a certain point, they start off with like really orthodox Christian looks at the beginning. Like first 10 to 15 looks is just straight like black priest and nun cloaks and stuff like that. And those looks were based off of like his growing up in Georgia, the country Georgia, and how church was important over there in Christianity and stuff. That's real life. Ties back in together. I know, I know. Now, if you're like a Satanist or something like that, you could look at Marilyn Manson and his wardrobe and how he's like freaked out and shit. If you want to like subvert Christianity or something, you can take like the traditional Christian look and like maybe like pervert it or something, like the sexy nun stuff that they be doing for Halloween. If that's what you want to do, if you just hate Christianity or you want to make old people mad, if that's like your mission, you can like, everything can be subverted and flipped on its head and perverted. Perversion is a big thing in fashion. It always has been and it always will be. And normal Christians actually just like normal people because they're good faith people trying to walk on the righteous path of God. So they usually wear like, very regular, inoffensive clothes that nobody would ever find a problem with because they're good people. Examples of religion being played with on the runway are like Alexander McQueen's Dante collection from Autumn Winter 96. It plays around with like blasphemy and you can hear like war noises in the background. And he was talking about like how every big war in the world was caused by religion one way or another, and blasphemy, lots and lots of blasphemy. But yeah, also you can do like a lot of tropes from like certain time periods that had heavy influences by religion, like the Victorian era or an era where religion was void, or if you want to even go back to the before Christ ages or whatever, when they were worshiping the sun or something, I don't know. Moving on, we have sports. Now, sports star attire differed from different time periods, Like the way how the 90s basketball stars looked compared to like the 2000 stars to the 2010 stars. Whenever I think about this, I just think about like that LeBron GQ shoot. Oh my god, bro. But yeah, it varied, and of course, like you can, they wear uniforms on the court, right? So you're mainly looking at what they're wearing off the court. But yeah, there's people like Allen Iverson that was very outspoken with like his outfits and stuff and how he would dress. But or like Balotelli and Beckham in football, CR7 maybe. But obviously, like when I say sports, I know you're thinking of like how to wear like sports wear and like jerseys and stuff. If you look at it, jerseys like football jerseys often go with baggier clothes and like running shoes or sneakers and stuff like that. a big underrated part of like people wearing sportswear are the accessories. Like you know how people would always wear like headbands, band-aids, wristbands and stuff like that. Like you can like I feel like people should just be wearing wristbands when they wear certain like, accessorize, throw a band-aid on the face or something like. And bloat core, I'm gonna try and talk about bloat core. Everybody's favorite core, right? It's not really bloat core like bloat core. What TikTok is trying to like present to you, like bloat core. It's not really like a real thing. Well, it's a real thing, but it's not bloat core. It's just how people in Europe dress, especially in England. This is just how they do it. They wear football jerseys from the team that they actually support because they're actually from that region, and they slap on some shorts and maybe some astroturfs and call it a day. It's nothing like, oh, I want this vintage Inter Milan jersey because it looks good. I was at I was at a thrift pop-up the other day. They tried to sell me a Chelsea Samsung jersey from that Samsung era for like $50. I'm like, bro, come on. Like that really made me mad, yo. But like, yeah, you don't have to wear it with jorts. You can get creative. But I know Blowcore is like, wearing it with jorts or whatever and the sambas or the astroturfs or the you know what I mean? That's pretty much the safest way to go if you're just getting into it and you just want to wear a jersey and look good. You can even do it like if you're a girl, you can even do it with a nice skirt. Or a man too, of course. My bad, y'all. You can do it with anything. You can wear whatever you want, of course. But I'm just saying that those are the conventional looks. But mainly in sports, in like American sports, the looks are baggier, more colorful because jerseys usually have mad color on them. It's not you can't really go wrong as long as you just like it's not that creative of an inspiration point. It's pretty straightforward, I believe, and it's also not my strong point to talk about either. So if I'm not giving you mad like inspo, please cut me some slack. I almost forgot like boxing. You can wear like boxing shoes. I've seen people do it and make it look really good. Like the ones that go all the way up and lace all the way up. Like I want to see more people doing that. And skate, you can consider it a sport too. It's like baggy with graphic tees and stuff. Chino pants, high socks, skate shoes like Vans, Converses. If you wear Converses and skate in Converses, yeah, like there are magazines for these type of things probably on the internet if you really want to get into it, and that's like an inspiration part that you want to pull from. On the runway, there's sportswear brands, and there's brands that's inspired by sports like Sport Max. Dirt Bickenbergs eventually became like a full-on sports brand, and every once in a while there's like a resort collection by a high fashion heritage brand that is inspired by sports. So just keep your eye out. And connecting to my next point, if you want to look at the runways of high fashion brands, your inspiration can come from Vogue Runway. Now, Vogue Runway is where I mainly took my style journey seriously or started to take it seriously because I thought, like, I want to be so good, I'm gonna look like a runway model, right? I went on Vogue Runway and I just looked at the runways of like popular brands that I always hear in songs or I'd always see kids my age on Twitter talking about. The Undercover, Raf Simons, Dior Homme. And it can help you, but the thing is, if you're gonna get your main style inspo from Vogue Runway, you're gonna end up looking like a runway person if you really take it all the way down to the T. You know what I mean? Like I personally don't even wear hoodies like that because I'd always rather wear a jacket, and that's because I was always inspired by like jacket as outerwear. I like trench coats and stuff. So when I put a hoodie on, I'm like, oh, this is so dressing down. Because our Vogue Runway is like, it's runway fashion. So I be tryharding all the time because that's where I really spent a lot of my early days learning. But yeah, in terms of like Vogue Runway, you kind of also have to like know what brands you're looking for. I mean, you can just sit down and find out about new brands from Vogue Runway too, because they cover a lot of brands and they have deep archives of a lot of the heritage brands and a lot of like brands that have been around for like 10, 15 years. They've covered like a lot of these collections. You can always find a new cool brand on Vogue Runway, but at the same time, if you're like an absolute beginner, you're probably going to be confused and discouraged because you don't know where to start. But there's different brands for like different genres of stuff. Now, I personally did not have the time to try and split up into like, oh, this brand is romantic, this brand is avant-garde, this brand is menswear, streetwear, menswear androgynous, women's wear, unisex. Like I didn't have time to split all of that up, unfortunately. But like I can give you like pretty much all the brands that I think are worth looking at on the screen. It might take you a while to get through all of these. I suggest you just screenshot it. And like when you have your own time, just download Vogue Runway and like look at these brands. Cause some are for like menswear and women's wear, and some are unisex. And like, sorry that I didn't organize the list, but if you really just want to know more about fashion in general, or want to find a brand that's for you or a brand that speaks to you, you're gonna have to do some searching for sure. But I will say one thing though, like sometimes one brand leads to another. If you do like research outside of the app, like if you find out about Bottega, you're probably gonna look at Marni next, or like Burberry next, or something like that. So it won't take too long if you really want to know. Like you're gonna look at CDG, and then you're gonna hear about Yoji, and and there's something for everybody. There's something for like high fashion, streetwear, high fashion streetwear, mob wife, quiet luxury, whatever you're into. If it's not fashion season, check the app periodically, because the big like Paris Fashion Week and London Fashion Week and New York Fashion Week, those aren't the only three fashion weeks. Copenhagen Fashion Week is really good. Milan, of course. Tokyo Fashion Week, of course. Shanghai Fashion Week, and like many others, right? So don't just like, if it's not Paris Fashion Week or London Fashion Week or something, or New York Fashion Week, don't just forget about the app. There's always cool things you can do. You can even find cool brands in Spain. Like I found a really cool brand called Mans. It was in Spanish Fashion Week, I believe, and it's so good. And I'm like, oh wow. That's because I check the app periodically. Like, don't just forget about it until Fashion Week comes around. And not every brand that matters is gonna be on Vogue Runway. It's just a starting point. Another big inspiration point for designers are time periods. How people were dressing in very big influential time periods, or time periods of change, time periods of revolution, time periods of prosperity, or, you know, the opposite, war and desolation. Like, you can look through the Victorian era, any time period, anywhere. I personally love Wills Bonner's collection from spring 2021. She basically was influenced by like the Jamaican dress and Caribbean dress from the 80s and the 90s, especially of like the dancehall stars. And I was really like really blown away, because I'm like, oh my god, this is so accurate, and it really warmed my heart, because it's like you can tell, like, because she has it in her blood. You can tell she really like yeah, that was really good. I really liked it. Another example of like runways, looking at time periods, of course, is like Eddie Saman season 16 again, but that's like being in the present, or like what you've been going through for like the past 5 years, like really recent inspiration of the current time period. Also, what Rick did with the current time period, Ray Kawakubo with the current time period. There are people who look into the future, like Xander Zhao, with his stuff, and Professor E and stuff like that. Yeah, you can look at like the Rolling 20s, the 1950s, and the 1960s in Hollywood. If you want to just like that for yourself, the only thing is that if you're gonna do that, sometimes it involves a lot of, obviously vintage shopping, or finding a brand nowadays that makes clothes for people of that time and age. It's not very easy, especially if you're trying to dress like somebody from the 1600s or something. If you're trying to dress like a Flintstone or a caveman, I don't know what to tell you. Like John Galliano was actually a really big fan of like doing random time periods for Dior Couture, but that was also a criticism, because his clothes would be like way too romantic and way too unwearable, because who wants to even look like that? So be careful. Sometimes, I mean, obviously, if you're gonna do it for yourself, do it for yourself. But just, if it's like too niche, there won't be any demand and appreciation for that look other than you, if people don't really care about the romance of it. And that's what played Jack Galliano at Dior for some time. People literally say like, "Oh, the clothes are beautiful, but who's gonna buy these clothes? Who's gonna wear these clothes?" So be careful. Another one is the army. Now, with the army, there are obviously like very functional clothes. They're mainly supposed to be clothes that carry out a certain function and do what they're supposed to do. So with that being said, they're probably not going to be the most comfortable, or the best fitting, or in the most comfortable material, and they're probably not going to look the best. But obviously you know what to look for, right? So military, there's lots of people who wear like bunny boots. They've been wearing bunny boots for like the past 3 5 years. There's obviously like camo. If any like streetwear brand is serious, they've had some type of camo, right? There's obviously camo pants, camo jackets, bomber jackets, military like denim jackets with like crazy buttons and stars and patches on it, like combat boots. So many high fashion brands, every single high fashion brand you can think of probably has some iteration of combat boots at one point. There's no secret that the military and the army inspires a lot of fashion, right? There's brands like Double Taps, very inspired by military stuff. hysteric glamour had a lot of military stuff at one point that people probably don't even pay attention to. Like the big, powerful like commando boots trend that's in fashion right now, where every brand has like a big black leather boot. That's like military inspired, even though it came from like Demna or whatever. It's kind of like cartoonish as well, but like some brands actually go for the military look as well with those boots. So it's definitely still prevalent. And it doesn't have to be like actual military clothes. It could just mean like a military feeling of a uniform. That's like a no nonsense uniform. Maybe like a minimal one that serves a specific purpose. Like military type tones like sand for like the camouflage, or green, black, icy maybe if you're in like that region, because there's military everywhere. Or like if you're interested specifically in like the Navy SEALs attire or the Marines attire with that type of cool blue. It's also about the feeling of just like rigidness, no nonsense, security, if you can replicate that in your clothes, right? There's that Instagram brand like 74 is war or something, and they have like this really big like rope sack and like these really cool like military caps. I think that brand does the military stuff really well, and I think their clothes look really cool. Of course, there's different militaries all around the world. Like the Japanese military look different than the ones in the Middle East, and they look different than the ones in Russia, and they look different than the ones in America. And there are different looks for the military through different time periods. You see how all of these tie together in some way? You can like mix and blend different elements with each other. I think that's really cool. Another one is celebrities, right? Celebrities are like classic tropes, like Hollywood type tropes. So there's like the mob wife, core trope, dark academia trope, quiet luxury trope. Or like if you want to be like a it girl, you can look at like Paris Hilton or something, or like you can look at like the attires of these people, and like if they have like a cunty, like really like vixen vibe to it, you can try and recreate that through like leopard print or like revealing clothes, one shoulder strap off of the shoulder, vibes like that. If that's just your mood, people like Kate Moss, Paris Hilton, Linda Evangelista, etc. Not a big fan of getting inspo from celebrities, because it's like these are real people out there just like you. Get your own swag. The tropes like skater boy, bimbo, classy, slut, whatever. Of course, for each trope, there's also like just motifs and themes that are common throughout it. Kind of like when the music and the punk has this and that. Yeah. So you can tie it all together if you're going for like a trope, but you might have to do some shopping. But just don't lean too into it, because then you're gonna like blend into like an aesthetic, and when you lean too hard into an aesthetic, it kills your individuality, and then you become like a poster for the aesthetic, which is not what you want to do. You want to do it in your own way. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of this, because people don't usually do that. They just try and be a carbon copy or a mannequin poster for the trope, or you want to be a lookalike, like a celebrity. Like if I wanted to be like Travis Scott, I would just wear flannels and cargos, right? And that stinks. That's why I don't do it. But yeah, that's that. Last but not least, of course, yourself, right? Who are you? Where are you in life right now? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you in control, out of control? Are you sexually empowered? Are you mindful about your appearance? Are you going through a whole change? Are you scared of the world? Are you angry at the world? If you're confused, your fits can look like that. You can just throw on anything and just be like we do this every day without thinking. Like if you don't want to be seen, if you just want to run out, or you're not in the mood, you put on like a black hoodie and like black sweatpants and you step. If you're feeling good about yourself, you might wear something that hugs the body so you can reveal your curvy features, whatever. If you don't if you don't want to be seen by like a man as a woman, you might wear really baggy clothes so that it doesn't show up these features, right? This is like the easiest one to do, because we all subconsciously do it every day, right? But it's more about like consistently doing that and putting it in a wardrobe based off of these feelings. And it doesn't just stay with clothes. It can be like your makeup if you feel like you want to be dolled up, or if you want to go barefaced. It could be like having your hair all messed up and crazy, or if you want it to be neat and cropped back or something. Basically, it's just like if you want to reflect who you are and your life in your clothes, the clothes can definitely tell a story without you saying anything. And that's what it is for the main like consensus, right? It's like, what can you say about your style? Oh yeah, man, I'm just trying to express myself, just being myself. What advice do you have for the audience? Just be yourself. Just dress for yourself. Yourself. My phone told so they didn't just die. But I say the only thing that's true that those people will tell you is not to think about it too hard. Because when you think about it too hard and you try to like manufacture your own feelings, then it becomes a bit disingenuous and contrived. because it's like, why are you trying so hard to feel the way how you feel through clothes? Just do it. I agree that it's difficult to extract yourself into clothing directly, but there are certain places where you can't go wrong, like mood and colors, and the relationship between mood and colors. That's the type of stuff they teach you in school. Like if you're happy, you're if you're happy, your fits are more likely gonna be brighter or more colorful most of the time for like the regular average person who doesn't like have a hardcore aesthetic, right? Sadness, darkness, like a more colorful person, a more different person, like with weirder interests, just a weirder person in general, you're gonna find like, and when I say weird, I mean good because I'm weird too. You're gonna find like more piercings, more tattoos. Well, that's not clothing, but you get what I mean. Hair color, where they're looking clothes, right? A lot of the personal style videos on YouTube will probably tell you the same thing, like, oh, you should love yourself before you try and find a style. Like, find yourself first. I also agree because if you don't know who you are, how are you going to represent that with your clothing? And if you're not comfortable with who you are, then you won't be comfortable doing that and you'll never get there. Now, everybody has their own journey and everybody has their own lessons to learn and steps to take and their own confidence to build. It's a marathon, not a race. Don't rush it, but actively look into it. Know who you are, know how you want to represent that openly. It's scary, but as some of these days, you have to put on the weird stuff and go outside. The best way to develop your personal style and feel comfortable in weird clothes is to go outside as much as possible in crowded areas, because then you get the feel for it and then it becomes less of a scary task to do. It is scary at first for a lot of people. It was scary for me too. Even to this day, it's scary. Like I wore an all white fit around a college campus, walking around with my friends, and I was so shook up. So you have to take that leap of faith because that's where the growth comes in and that's where you see the results. You have to understand how you feel in these clothes because you can buy all these clothes and not wear them outside. And when you start wearing them, you're like, oh my God, I don't even like these clothes. Like you need to have experience in these clothes and how it makes you feel, right? You have to know yourself ultimately to start, dressing yourself in a way that fully represents yourself. Minimalism doesn't necessarily mean dullness. It probably just means that's just who you are. Just a minimal person. You don't necessarily have to be dull. A punk person doesn't even have to look punk though. Like you don't have to constrain yourself to aesthetics. It can generally just be what you like and how you feel in your personal style. Even though sometimes what you like and what you include in your personal style could be different, but that's kind of more complicated and we're not getting into that. And of course there are like brands that could represent you, but you have to like take your time to find a brand that really represents you. I personally took my time. I found Kid Ill. I love that brand and I think that brand is so me, and I love their clothes. But that brand like Rick, I love Rick's work. I love Rick's work so much, but I don't see myself in a lot of the Rick clothes, runway or ready to wear in general. But I do really admire his work, just not from a consumer standpoint, right? But if you take that leap of faith and dress yourself in the true style that you like, it may not be the mainstream. People may look and laugh at you and be thinking you're weird. But when the right people come up to you or the right people find you because of your style, it's worth it. I'm personally still waiting for the right people for me and stuff, but I know it's gonna be worth it too. Everybody has a place that they belong in, and your clothes can help you find that place, but you have to be completely vulnerable and transparent in order to do so. This takes time. It's a marathon, not a race. And you're living for a long time, hopefully. So, what's the rush? Okay, that was the entire video. I don't know how long this is gonna be. I'm gonna see it might be like 40 minutes or so. I don't really care how long it was gonna be because I knew it was gonna be a mega long video anyway. Because I'm not very good at concising my thoughts, I guess. But I really, really, really do hope that you found this helpful and you came away with this with some new understanding or knowledge. I'm not the most knowledgeable person. I still educate myself every day. I'm practically an amateur, but I may seem like I know what I'm talking about because I'm throwing these references out there and stuff to make myself seem educated. We're all learning or whatever. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please let me know. I would love to hear your feedback. I really would, for real. Not even like liking the video or anything. If you just have a comment or want to say something to me, I would love to hear it. Please do like the video though and subscribe and stuff. It helps me out and it makes me know that people actually like what I'm doing. But I do it anyway because I love the game. I love the hustle. Please stick around for more videos. I have like 2 other videos on my channel at this point. I'm about to drop one tomorrow, which would be Friday, and this should come out on Monday. You don't need to know any of that. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.